pudding. Remember, the track's wet. Car's gonna be loose. Tires are cold. Track's cold. Good thing I am too. Start this fucker up. Let's start warming.
What's up, guys? It's Hunter, and today we're going to be doing a recap of my Champcar endurance race at NCM Motorsports Park. Just some little information before. I'm 21 years old, and this is my second race I have done in the Champcar endurance series, or actually second race I've done in my life. This is probably maybe the third or fourth time I've ever driven a manual car, with these two races being the most I've ever driven a manual car for an extended amount of time. So here we are. This is the first lap. The race has just started, coming through turn 2. You see a lot of cars passing us, mostly because they are using bigger engines than we are. We're running a 1.8 liter engine, 1990 stock motor. Pretty much everything on this car is stock, except for we have a bigger racing radiator, and obviously the roll cage and fire suppression and all that kind of stuff you see in the video. But as far as that, when it comes to the engine, it's all stock, minus the cooling stuff that we've added to it. Suspension, I want to say we bought it off of eBay, so shows you how good it is. It's holding up okay so far. We haven't really had any issues, and honestly, the car drives pretty great. We just put some new Yokohama tires on there the day before. This is the second day of the race, and you can see here I think it's a Trans Am. I think he started leaking oil or something, and or maybe he had a clutch go out or something, but he started smoking like crazy here. So you can see just how hard it is to see. And of course the sun was in front of me at this point, so you couldn't really see that well. But eventually he pulls off the pits right up here. But this is the first time I've ever, or actually any of the entire team has ever raced at the National Corvette Museum racetrack, going inside the BMW there. Usually we use iRacing or maybe Assetto Corsa to practice before our races, but this track is not on any of them. I couldn't find a mod or anything, so we just kind of had to learn as we went. But we're from Alabama, so normally we just practice Barber on iRacing or something like that. But so this is the start of a 8-hour endurance race. There's the first day, or sorry, I got that backwards. The first day is 8 hours, and then the second day, what you're watching now, is a 7-hour. So 15 hours in total. They take your positions from both days, and that determines where you finish. Of course, it goes by class as well, but they also have like an overall type deal. But we're racing in the A class, which is 1.8 liter engines and smaller, and B class is, I think, 2.0, 1.8 to 2.0, and then C class being anything above a 2.0. And then there's also a class called EC, and that is your cars like the Supra. I don't know if you saw it at the very start of the video, but they have like turbos, and they just kind of go over the points threshold for a champ car. So they're racing EC. They pretty much race for overall. They don't. I think they might get a trophy, but they don't get any points or anything like that. But like I said, this is only my second time driving the car. Second time driving a manual race car, and I actually turned the fastest lap with the team. I ran a 138.1. The second fastest guy on our team ran like a 144, I want to think, and then the other two were in the 150s. So that's a pretty good deal ahead of everyone, and I'd like to think iRacing really helped me with that, or just sim racing in general. And coming from a virtual to reality point of view, sim racing really does help. I honestly do think it does. Like, a lot of people kind of have the misconception that you don't feel anything, and the cars, depending on what developer it is or what mod it is, how realistic they drive. But in all honesty, coming from iRacing to, let's say, Barber for an example, I felt like I had raced there 1,000 times. It just felt natural. Obviously the cars didn't really drive the same because they don't have a 1990 Miata NA on there, which is what this is. But they do have, the Pontiac Solstice and the MX-5, and then the newer Miata that's on there. And just kind of driving between those three cars really helped you out a good bit, or at least it helped me out. But I think for the most part, it's just learning the line of the racetrack and your braking points, because in cars like this, you're going very similar speed, so your braking points are about the same as they would be in real life. Obviously the braking markers and stuff like that move, but you can kind of judge where to brake based on elevation and little, maybe a track surface changes or has been patched or something like that. So it can really help you out with your braking points. But for me here, this right here was a pretty hard corner for me, because the exit of the corner actually kind of comes in a little bit and then opens back up. So you got to be really careful not to run off the road there. Plus, so many cars went off right there that kind of started digging a rut off the track, and you'd bottom out really bad. This right here is the slowest corner on the entire racetrack. Get down the second gear, halfway through the corner, just pinning on the exit. Try not to run too wide. I think I was going fourth gear through this corner, flat out. Try to keep off the inside curb as much as you can. And then you're wide open all the way until the very end of the straightaway here. Normally that's where I think the club track or something like that cuts in. But down the fourth here, right back in the throttle, rail in the corner as much as you can. Brake a little early here and try to carry as much speed through here as possible. The car was getting super loose in this last sector of the track, especially right here. You can see where the track really, they call this the sinkhole. Car will get loose on you there very easily and oversteer pretty bad. A lot of cars went off there, but pretty much this entire last half you're just trying to straight line as much as possible and carry as much momentum for the straightaway. Behind the BMW I think they were using like a 91 BMW 325i, pretty fast car. I thought it was kind of interesting because they used a 4-door instead of the regular 2-door coupe, and for tall guys like me, I'm 6'2", and I barely fit in the Miata. I have to take the wheel off, but that team actually used a 4-door and could push the seat even further back than what the stock seat mounts had on it. So that might be an idea for a future car. If we ever do build a future car, I'll definitely do a build video. And of course, what you just saw was it's a Lexus SC400, I want to say, but it's a chassis, but they put a Jeep Cherokee body over it. Kind of funny, but it was probably the fast. I'm pretty sure they finished second or third, but they were definitely the fastest car by far. I think they ran like a 229, whereas the winner, or the second fastest car, ran like a 233 or maybe a 230. Messed that corner up really bad because I thought that Miata might dive bomb me there, so I kind of just moved out of the way for him. But I found out, or I guess I found this out at Barber actually, because there's a couple teams running Toyota Supras. I forget what year it was, but the ones like you see in Fast and Furious, like the later 91, the really expensive ones, let's just put it at that. And I found out that the Lexus SC400 actually has the same exact engine as the Supras did. And I want to say it was the same chassis and everything, it was just rebranded as a Lexus. And that's a very popular car for this series. I want to say popularity for this series was like Miatas were obviously one of the most raced, and then second was the 325i's, and then I forget what would be third. I would say maybe a miss a shift there. I don't know what the third would be. From there on, it's just kind of random. But overall, I think this track was very fun. It's a very challenging course. It's a little bit longer than Barber. I want to say this was like 3.4 miles or something like that. But it had probably twice the number of turns as Barber did. A lot of low speed stuff too. So if you have a slower car like ours, you kind of lost a lot of time on the straightaways. But at the same time, I'm just trying to get some experience. But yeah, you might notice my racing suit. It's from Roush Fenway Racing. We have a couple guys over there that we know really well, and they sent us, I want to say 5 or 6 racing suits for free, as well as some other team shirts and hats and stuff like that. So big thanks to them for setting us up. The suit that I have, I forget exactly who drove it, but I know it's a Cup Series driver because it has the Monster Energy logo on the chest, and that's kind of why I picked the suit as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. Helmet is a Zamp, I think a Z45 or something like that. I forget exactly the name of it, but I also have the blue tinted visor. It's pretty cool, even though I never use it because my visor is always up because it's so damn hot outside. If you're wondering what the little white box on the floor, it's a cooler that they actually drilled a hole in, put a little tube in a motor, and you can hook up a cool shirt to it. Kinda doing some redneck inventions, but it works, and I never use it because I'm just kind of used to the heat, so I guess I never, I don't know, sweat too much or get real hot in there. As long as I have the fan go into my helmet, I'm good to go. But as far as the older guys on the team, they like to have the cool shirts. I want to say I was making hour-and-a-half stints. I ran just about a full tank of gas out every time, whereas the older guys were using, I want to say, a little less than half a tank and doing maybe 45 to an hour. We actually made our front splitter out of wood, and we just kind of have the little metal rods, I forget what they're called, but attached to the car, and it works really well. Cuts off a lot of airflow. Got a little bit better front grip with it. But on the first, actually no, I think it was the second day, but it was our other driver's first stint, because I started the race and then he went in after me, and then there were 3 more drivers after me. So, but anyways, our second driver actually spun out, went through the grass, and ripped the splitter off the front. So I want to say what you're seeing now is me driving without the front splitter. It honestly didn't make too much of a difference because we didn't really have it low enough to the ground. It might have cut off, it might have helped out with cooling and stuff like that with the engine more than anything, but we ripped it off, and yeah, it cost us a little bit of time in the pits, but we wound up still beating the team that we were racing against, so we were good to go. Guess that's really about it for the video. I'll let it play out till the end of the race. You can see me drive, and I appreciate you guys watching the video, and enjoy the rest of your week.